one Larry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Idea Podcast. We have two really good guests with us today. We have Sean McGrail and Steve Cohen of Integrity Merchant Solutions. And gentlemen, whoever wants to speak first, welcome to our podcast. And we'd love to hear who you are and what you do and why everybody on earth should reach out to you immediately.
Hey, Larry, if I can just jump in real quick. Steve Cohen and I go back to the 60s where our families, we grew up together in Bloomfield, Connecticut. So I'm excited to have Steve because Steve and I are going to work on a collaboration of bringing their programs to the market. So before Sean, I wanted to just make that clear. So Sean, if you could, I know you guys are doing great things in the industry, helping, and what a great way of starting the 4th of July is we get to share and help dealers save money. That's kind of unheard of. And so thank goodness Steve and I got together because I'm always trying to sell stuff to the dealers and they don't want to buy it too often. But maybe if we can help them save some money, they'll give me the half an hour. So with all that being said, welcome, Sean.
See that, Steve? You have both Gary and Tucker wagging their tails. That's how excited they are to see you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Again, Sean McGrail with Integrity Merchant Solutions. I've been in the merchant industry for about 26 years. Not what I grew up to do, but I kind of fell into it. And kind of what you just said, Gary, I've been helping businesses save money for 26 years. And today, well, Integrity, we started January of 2009, and I'm proud to say we have 19,000 customers across the United States. Wow. They process about $13.5 billion a year in credit card processing and about 360 million transactions. So we're quite large, and we've done it one merchant at a time, and it really is all about the merchants, helping them save money and keeping them educated on the business.
And that's got to be growing now even more because of all of the fraudulent activities. And that if you can't control that money moving properly, there's a problem. So
yes, absolutely. That is true. That is true. We have grown consistently year over year, and it's, we do it a lot by referrals. It's, I call it one to many, kind of like what you're doing here with Steven. If you help one person, they'll usually tell people they know. So we look to build relationships with folks like yourself, anyone who has access to businesses, merchants, and we try to use the tools we have, which is education. That's what it's all about, educating people. I can't tell you the number of times I've been in front of businesses that do hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of processing a year. And the decision makers, who are very smart individuals, really don't fully understand how the business works. And I think that's, no matter what industry you're in, education is the key. It's what builds that relationship. And I can tell you time and time again, when I've worked with merchants, I hear this, man, no one's ever explained it to me that way. That makes sense. And that right there, I'm building that initial rapport. Once you've established that and then you deliver on what you've committed to, now you've got them. And once you have them, you really just have to protect that. I tell reps, it's like a bird's egg. If you drop it, you can't put it back together. So you can never drop that bird's egg, for lack of a better term. And that's the strategy we do day in, day out. First day to this day, 17 years later at Integrity.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. What kind of pushback do you get from the dealers? Either a principal or a GM? Do they kind of blow you off and say, yeah, we got something already? What do you? What's your struggle there? And basically, how do you overcome that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yes, you will get some blow off. Our business is somewhat commoditized. I mean, it is commoditized, and there's a lot of people who do it. So, if you talk to a business, you're going to say, oh, you would be like the 4,000th credit card rep I've spoke to, right? So you have to really have that. It's why we're doing stuff like this, building relationships with people that they trust to give us that initial opportunity. So you could just, as I say, dial for dollars, pull hand doors, and have some success. But at this industry with car dealers and the size and the scope and the opportunity, you really need that relationship in. So what I usually tell folks is it doesn't cost you anything. The worst you're going to experience if you take that opportunity, let us review your processing, is you'll know that you have a good deal. And the best thing that could happen is we can save you thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So it is difficult, yes, but anything that's worth having is going to be difficult. So we really fight hard to get through those gatekeepers and get them to give you that opportunity. So
it's fantastic.
Now, great. Steve.
Yes.
On top of everything else that you do, you're the controller for a pretty good sized repair facility.
Yes.
So your background, if you could talk a little bit about your background, because you were a controller in a car dealership. So can you talk about how this helped your business? And by you, obviously you liked it enough that you joined the company or you got involved with them. Can you talk about how it helps a repair facility with their credit card offerings?
Yeah, so Sean and I come from a very unique perspective. We're both accountants, okay? Sean was an accountant. I went the traditional route. I worked for a public accounting firm. I got my CPA. I worked for different companies, public, privately held. Sean and I met when Sean first got into the business. I was the controller for Bob's Discount Furniture, which is the 7th largest furniture retailer in the United States right now. And when I was there, we were 9 stores and grew to about 30 stores. And Sean came in right about that when we were starting that growth period. And Sean was working for a bank selling merchant processing. He took over our account. Sean and I hit it off. We became friends. He demonstrated real personalized service. I could call him. I'd never call customer service. I would always call Sean and he would jump on it. And that's kind of what me and Sean do now. And I'm sure everybody else at Integrity, that's one of our value propositions. We're not going to make the client get on a support call and wait through the queue. They're going to call us and we're going to tackle it. Service is huge. I mean, when we sign these merchants up, we're now in business with them. We want client retention. They say jump, we say how high. It's immediate, So from a business perspective, Sean and I have that accounting background, so we understand the metrics of how merchant processing works and how you can save money. I mean, so that's my background. When we get in front of a merchant, we're not saving them $300-400 a month, not at the dealer level. We have a sort of a proprietary plan that we can save them, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And the dealers probably don't believe it, but when we get in there, we show them how we do it, and we will do it. And we have testimonials. We have a lot of big multi-location dealers. We have single shop dealers. We have tire shops, tire and repair shops, all doing this. And we just need the chance to demonstrate how we do it. And we do it.
Well, what I like about it is that, we were involved. I got involved with you guys a little bit back in like 2018.
Yes.
And I remember how you would take a statement, their actual statement, and you would cover up all of the information that, didn't want out there. And
just the name and just the name.
And you would do a side by side.
Yeah.
And you would do a side by side. And, we've been selling dealers reinsurance for a long time, and they still don't understand half of the things that go on reinsurance. They just say, how much am I making? And so this is actually easier because it's dollars and cents. You're not projecting what if and loss ratios and if so. And so this should be a lot easier for the controllers and the dealer to get their arms around, because they've been looking at spreadsheets and they don't have a clue sometimes when you do a reinsurance review.
We give them free equipment once we set them up, and we're so confident. We say, do not cancel your current service. Let us see what the results are for the month. And when they see the results that we say that they're going to get, they're going to make that phone call that next day and cancel their current service. We're completely confident. We have done this so many times, and it's just a home run for the dealer. I mean, we give them free equipment, they plug it in, and they start saving every single month. I mean, big dollars.
Typically, we'll have a multi-location dealership, 3, 5, 8, 10 locations. And as you present the numbers, we'll say, listen, I like to crawl, walk, and run. That's how I've done everything in my career. And let's just pick one location. You pick it. The one that does the least amount of volume, the one that is the least, it's not going to cause you any headaches. It's the easiest one. Let us do that. Switch it. Within 30 days, you're going to see the savings. And then we build a plan to convert over the balance of the locations. Inevitably, once they see that first statement, we do the comparison. We show them, hey, we've delivered on what we said. Let's start to go to another one. They're now like, do them all. Like they very quickly realize, okay, let's move this down the field. And it's combating that. Somebody said it earlier. I think you may have just said it, Gary, where, a sales, in a lot of sales opportunities, there's this, if you do this, this may happen. And it's not really concrete, right? And as Steve said, my background was accounting. So when I was in accounting and salespeople would come in, I never liked that. I could very quickly suss through what I call that salesperson's just like fluff and say, well, I don't really think those numbers are real because you're making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah,
so,
you're selling. You're not telling. You're
Yeah.
So if they're not knowledgeable and they're just selling a concept, you can see right through that.
And I thought it was very simple. I would tell folks, hey, if you can do basic math, which most folks can, you take your total fees, divide it by your total sales. In our business, that is called the net effective rate. It's a simple math thing. $1,000 divided by $10,000, you're paying, that's your math. So we would then just show the merchant, hey, now we're going to go through line by line, figure out what the new fees are going to be. You're going to go from a 2.1% to a 1.6, 1.7, 1.8%, whatever the math works out to be. And again, we want to review the statements. We know car dealers are relatively consistent as far as the types of clients they see. It's not going to be like a business to business merchant that could see certain types of cards infrequently, but that could have a material effect on their rate. So we know looking at 1 or 2 or 3 statements, months of statements, we're going to be able to be very consistent. There'll be a small variation, but it's like 0.1% because you can't predict exactly who comes into the dealership. And that gives us that ability to say, hey, we're very confident in delivering this. And once you do, now you have them. And then as Steve said, the service is that difference maker. They call us as opposed to an 800 number and an offshore support team. They're dealing with someone not always local, but local enough as far as their cell phone. I mean, it's clients of mine that I've had for 15, 18 years. They have my cell phone number still, and my number hasn't changed. They'll still.
I'm feeling you 100%. I always, unless I'm training or on a plane, I always answer my phone. I just had a bunch of folks I got hired, and I asked every one of them for sales. You applied to other jobs, didn't you? Yep. They never got back to you, did they? Nope. It's scary in an age where nobody communicates what happens when you're actually easy to communicate with.
Yeah. I still can remember times when my kids were young and we would be traveling. We're at Disney World. We're in the parking lot having lunch and trying to feed the kids because we're like, hey, we're trying to save money, with letting the Gatorades thaw out. And then my phone rings and I'm like, I tell my wife, I got to take this call. And she looks at me, as I'm sure anybody who's been married, whose wife looks at them like, what are you doing? And I'm like, how do you think we're on this vacation? This is a client. I'm like, she's like, we're on vacation. I'm like, I'm never on vacation. Like that's, if my cell phone has power, you can reach me. And I've done it for 26 years now. I don't know any other way. And that to me is a big differentiator because people appreciate that. When they have a problem, they want first someone to talk to. If you don't have an answer, you acknowledge you've heard them and you acknowledge you get back to them with an update and then you follow up on that. And then you, of course, our ability to communicate with our folks is what makes us, be able to deliver on that. Is we can get answers quickly, solve problems, and that's really where that, the details are at. And I think that's what helps clients stay with us.
Well, I can tell you, very funny. As soon as you said that about answering your phone, I had that same. My wife gave me the same look when we were walking into Lion's Kingdom, I think, or Animal Kingdom
Yep.
at Disney, and I'm like, they're paying for us to be here. I'm answering the phone.
Absolutely. That is true. That is so
No
true.
question. No question. Sean and I play in the Laz Parking Tournament, golf charity event every year. Laz Parking is a big client of Integrity Merchant Solutions. And I'm going to say that Sean is on the phone maybe 98% of the time while we're playing. And we've played in this thing for 12 years. And it's no different. I mean, he is just on the phone. That's making deals or putting out fires, either one or the other.
It's the same thing. You got to keep once you make the deal. Exactly. Once you get the deal, you got to keep it, and that's the hardest job. Is you got to keep it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had dealers say to me, you're free to leave anytime. We tell them, there are no contracts. You can leave anytime. And I've had dealers say to me, "We're never leaving." If we gave them horrible support and we ignored them, maybe that'd be a different thing. I don't know. But for the rates that we're getting them, they have said to me, we are not leaving. We are not going anywhere. If somebody calls us, we hang up the phone immediately. That's it,
Hey, just for quick, Australia just scored the equalizer. So it's 1-1 Australia over Egypt. So it's very cool. Stephen, that's awesome. It sounds like, you guys have definitely built a really strong ethical reputation, and then to have integrity in the name of your business, that's just beautiful. Because a handshake still matters. Eye-to-eye contact matters, and Larry teaches that in all of his classes, is that they're buying the human.
Yeah.
Right. And what was cool, what was I watching this morning, or the Car Guy podcast? They had Grant Cardone, Alan Haig, Ziegler. They're just three of the really, strongest.
Was this an older show, Garrett?
It was just
Ziegler
on.
Passed away 2 years ago.
I'm sorry.
Ziegler passed away 2 years.
His son. His
okay.
son. His son was on there because Grant Cardone does the training for the Ziegler. So they had all these guys, and they said they were asking about what the auto industry is going to look like in 50 years. And they all said they still want people to help them and answer questions. AI is not taking over any dealership anytime soon. And any of these things, we if the answer is the phone, that's fine. That's making life easier. So all of these guys are saying is that the auto industry is not going anywhere anytime soon, and you need good people, but you need good tools and you need good support. So that's obviously a recipe that you guys have done really well.
Hey, Larry, those guys don't got nothing on us.
Listen, I got to tell you, Sean and Steve, the thing I like about your company name isn't that it's called Integrity, it's that you have integrity.
Yeah.
Because quite often, the names that people put on their businesses in and out of our business are misnomers. It's almost like, hey, let's put exactly the opposite of what we are or what we're trying to achieve. See who's paying attention. So we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick story on the name. Before I started the business, I was in a very large deal, and this opportunity, to shrink it down quickly, I was at cost plus 10 cents, and I had the deal. And then right when I went in to sign the deal, the owner of this business said, "Oh, one of my partners knows a guy who owns an ISO," which is what we are, an independent sales organization. "And he'll do it for cost plus 5 cents. And that 5 cent difference, Sean, is $200,000. And he used the words fiduciary responsibility to my partners, that I have to take that deal. And I said, oh, okay. I said, I'm not really sure how he's going to be able to deliver that price with the service you're going to need. And this is after he said yes to me. So on the day of the signing, this happened. So I internalized that frustration. I threw my hand out and said, hey, I hope I have earned the right to be the first guy you call if this doesn't work out. And I walked out. 6 months later, I get a phone call. I look down at my cell phone and I see the name of the business and I'm like, Sean McGrail. It's like, how fast can you get in here? He said, this guy has screwed things up so bad. I said, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Right when I was as he's sitting down, I'm face to face looking at him, I hand him the pen. And as he goes to reach for the pen, I pull it back. I say, you know what? There's a reason why you'll do business for as long as you're in business with me. I said, it's because I've had integrity when others around me have not. I said, I've always told you what's going to happen. These guys told you what you wanted to hear. Now that 5 cents difference actually turned out to be a 30-cent increase. He was at cost plus 40 cents.
I love it.
I've had that client ever since.
Hey, this is guided more towards Mr. Larkin than you two fine gentlemen. Mike, we usually have a scroll at the bottom of the screen with phone numbers and emails so people could reach out to them. I don't see it on my screen. Can we put that back up or add that?
Yeah.
Look at that. That looks like the New York City ticker.
Yeah, the word integrity means a lot.
Thank you very, very much, Larry. I didn't know this. That, we had a
Sean,
brownout or something.
Sean,
I not only have integrity, I have good eyesight.
Yeah.
What a great story because that earns it. That was awesome. I mean, because
I've conducted myself that way always. And whether it was the smallest opportunity or the largest, I've always been someone who just says, hey, here's what's going to happen. And then when it happens, that is how you build trust. And then all the support, all the things we've just talked about, being available, accessible, being knowledgeable, understanding the business, taking care of them, which is all things we're going to do anyways. That just cements the relationship. And
that's awesome.
In our world,
that's what we live for. We live to have that relationship with the business owner, that they trust what you're doing and how you're doing it. That's what I live for that. That makes it very good.
Let me jump in on this story a little bit. I'm not going to say who this client is. If Sean wants to disclose, he can, because I know this story oh so well. But it just goes to the, making a good presentation. Even though the deal didn't close initially, this client is ginormous. I mean, this is nationwide. It's beyond huge. It's bigger than any car dealership. I mean, okay, so Sean's persistence, staying with it, the impression he made on this client, 6 months later to call him back, save me, who would have known?
I mean, I can share it. It was Laz Parking. So when I first met them, they were 300 locations. And of course, when I started the ISO, I'm like, I'd like you guys to come with me. And they did. And today they're like 4,000 locations with us.
And what an amazing. I mean, we grew up with his father as our rabbi.
And Alan and the brothers and all of them.
And I watched these guys, Jeff Karp, they were a year older than me. And Jeff Karp was on the corner of Fenway Park on Ipswich Street, collecting $20, parking cars, and we would go and visit them. I mean, and it is an amazing story. And when I tell the story about the rabbi, oh my, you see everybody gets tears in their eyes. He's just an amazing, I'm reading his 16th book. So, wow, that's awesome. As we like to keep these under a half an hour. So, I'm excited to get going with Steve. We're, basically, after the 4th and a few other little things, the rest of the month, July, I'm going to be on the road. My question to you guys, have you gotten deep in with any of the other industries, as like I'm saying, the boating industry, the ag industry, the equipment industry, because I bring service contracts to those industries. And so I'm working with a lot of these larger dealer groups that have multiple points. So are those open for what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is open. So any business that accepts credit cards is a potential merchant.
Okay.
All industries have their own unique pros
That's
and
awesome.
cons. So yeah,
Because to bring this to the ag industry, people don't realize how much money they're spending. And then if you guys, not to disclose, but I heard something on the Car Guy podcast, Yossi Levy, that does that big podcast, and he says that if you're paying over 2%, it's way too high. You need to look for somebody to reduce it. You guys are very competitive in that market right there.
Oh yeah.
Very
Absolutely.
much so. Very much so. Very much so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you guys for joining us on the 3rd of July. The 4th. What a wonderful weekend. We got a ton of American pride going on, our 250th. Lots to be thankful for. So yes. I thank you guys for taking some time and sharing with what you're doing. And Steve, I look forward to us building a nice little book of business.
Absolutely.
And Larry, I'm excited that you're going to be in Connecticut. Larry's going to be training in Connecticut next week. We get to see Larry. And Mike, thank you for all you do.
And Sean, I want to reach out to you after the holiday. We'll get together. I linked up with you on LinkedIn. I've got some ideas.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you. And we wish everyone a healthy and happy Independence Day.
Okay. Thank you guys for having us. We appreciate it.
All right,
appreciate
man.
it.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.